Under the same roof, we share the love. Embracing the differences like hand in glove.
Some major breaking news into the Don Lemon Show newsroom, and it involves
It's a beautiful sight. Together we shine in each other's light. And now do we stand in love's pure might. Watching the world share in love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony painting the night. And now do we stand in love's pure might.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Watching the World News at Noon. We have some breaking news today in regards to the President of the United States. When I attended last week the Clintons' deposition Thursday and Friday, on Thursday, Representative Garcia spoke about how in the Epstein files, there's some mention of the President of the United States in correlation to a young individual. He also mentioned that these files, 3 files, were left out of the Epstein files when they were released. Well, today, lo and behold, the Department of Justice have released these files. In fact, believe it or not, we have Don Lemon reporting on it. I'm going to touch on that first to show you what's being said, and then we're going to look at the news coming out from NBC. Let's take a look at this briefly.
I have some major breaking news into the Don Lemon Show newsroom, and it involves rape allegations by Donald Trump of a 13-year-old girl. The Justice Department has posted online the FBI interview's release of the sexual assault allegations against President Donald Trump that had been missing from that massive trove of Epstein files released by the Justice Department. Now, a news organization did an analysis that discovered that dozens of witness interviews were missing from the online archive of evidence related to the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. These all involved so-called 302 memos. Those are the memos that where the FBI memorializes what interviewees tell them. Among the missing records were 3 interviews related to a woman who told agents that Epstein had repeatedly abused her decades.
Now, we know that Don Lemon is facing a lot of heat in regards to Donald Trump, right? And how he covered that whole situation out in Minnesota, but he's still reporting about Donald Trump in a negative way. More heat must be coming on his head, I would only imagine. But this is very serious what Don Lemon is saying here. Let's keep going.
Decades ago, starting when she was approximately 13 years old, and who also accused Trump of sexually assaulting her. He has denied this, but this is major breaking news into the Don Lemon Show newsroom. As soon as we get more information.
Okay, so it's not just Don Lemon reporting this. I want to show you guys what NBC News has to say about this matter as well. We're just reporting the breaking news of the day. Let's check it out. All right, so this is from NBC. I'm just going to give you a little update on it before we move on. We have a lot of ground to cover today. But it says the Justice Department on Thursday released previously unseen documents from the Epstein files. Now, keep in mind, folks, this is from NBC. Also, as you come in, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. We try to keep you up with the latest news. This is breaking. It says, in regards to the Epstein files that included new summaries and notes from interviews the FBI conducted with a woman from South Carolina who made allegations against the late offender and also President Donald Trump, according to NBC News analysis. And this is breaking today, folks. It says in a series of 2019 interviews with the FBI, the woman said she was assaulted, victim of Jeffrey Epstein. She also alleged that she was assaulted by Trump in the 1980s when she was between the ages of 13 and 15. Breaking news. It says the newly released interviews describe the allegations in details. They include how the woman says her mother was blackmailed by Epstein and that for years after the alleged abuse from the disgraced financier, she received physical and verbal threats that she believed were directed by Epstein. She also told the FBI that Epstein drove her and flew her to New York and New Jersey, where she went to a very tall building with huge rooms where she said Trump assaulted her, according to the FBI interview. So this is all breaking news. The Department of Justice just released this. I'm just bringing it to your attention so you could follow up on it if you want to know what's happening in regards to some of the allegations that are coming out from the Epstein files. This was mentioned last week again as I stood in front of the deposition center where Bill and Hillary Clinton were facing the heat. One of the representatives, Garcia, spoke about this, but finally I was able to find it because it's breaking news as of today. We have so many marvelous people in the house. If you guys would like to call in, feel free, let me know. I'll let you come up and express yourself. Shout out to you gents being here nice and early. I really do appreciate it. James is back from last night. We have Deborah in the building. Shout out to you. Always nice to see the deep fake report, says Morning Mel. Am I not supposed to post on your community posts? Looks like you removed my posts. I didn't remove a thing. I'm unaware about what you're referring to. So that's not me. And I think the community wall is free for posting. So maybe there's some technical issue. I'm not sure. But send me an email about that. I'll always respond to you. Herdy says, Don Lemon cries white supremacy. Thank you, Herdy, for being here, participating. Little P, shout out to you. When were the allegations presented? Okay, they were presented in 2019. James says the DFR, good morning. Okay, all right, good deal. We have so many great people. We have to keep moving. We have a lot of territory to cover. Here's another report in regards to Jeffrey Epstein. We have to cover it, folks.
More exclusive details tonight on a newly uncovered police investigation into Jeffrey Epstein years before.
Hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much.
The case exploded publicly. The Epstein files revealing West Palm and Palm Beach police first looked into Epstein 4 years earlier in 2001. Our investigative reporter Terry Parker first reported on this newly discovered case 2 weeks ago, and tonight she has more on what she found in a later document about that investigation. Terry?
Right, it's kind of complicated, but what we found, and we didn't know until we got the Epstein files, is that back in 2001, Palm Beach police did investigate Jeffrey Epstein because 3 Palm Beach Atlantic students complained that Ghislaine Maxwell had recruited them on campus. Well, I then found additional documents that show the FBI apparently re-interviewed one of those students in 2019. So I took those notes I found in the files and I showed them to the lawyer who represented the first known victim in what we thought was the first investigation. And Spencer Kuven says he can't believe that Epstein was on the police radar for 4 years before he was fully investigated and charges were brought. According to victims attorney Spencer Kuven, these 2019 notes from the Epstein files were probably taken by an FBI investigator looking into Jeffrey Epstein's past, hoping to bring charges.
I was really kind of flabbergasted when I saw what you found dating back to 2000.
So what we can determine here is that Epstein received a sweetheart deal even after they knew about his different allegations for 4 years at least. That's something to think about.
And one, I was astounded at the fact that the police didn't even put 2 and 2 together back then.
Palm Beach police did investigate. Here's the 2001 police report showing they conducted surveillance, interviewed 3 girls working for Epstein, even dug through Epstein's trash, still concluding there wasn't enough evidence for an arrest. But this later interview in 2019 reveals either the students didn't tell everything at first or the investigation didn't go far enough. For example, during massages, the student recalling, J.E. was handsy, all over touch, breasts, waist, thighs. He wasn't afraid to say what he liked or not liked. The student says Ghislaine Maxwell approached her on campus and offered secretarial work, but that quickly morphed into sexual massages for $200. She says the experience was so unsettling, she told her mother she was making a lot of money at a rich guy's house, and Mom called the university and said something was wrong. School said, no, it's fine. And she was asked to bring other girls from college, which she did, but GM liked neither of them. A tall blonde and a heavier set didn't like her because of that.
There were no qualifications required except beauty. That's all Maxwell cared about because she knew that's all that Epstein cared about.
The 19-year-old student recounted another girl her age, maybe a year younger, lived in the Palm Beach mansion with Epstein and Maxwell, and that the girl showed me around the house, got upstairs.
So we get a chance to see that sometimes money leads to a lot of sinister things, right?
Naked on massage tables. According to the police report, 3 PBAU students working at the house told detectives Epstein and Maxwell were weird, but said nothing illegal happened. So the case was filed away.
But what shocked me about this was all of this predated the original investigation and charges.
You know, the word on the street is that Acosta, right, that dealt with Jeffrey Epstein's first case, that according to one reporter that actually interviewed him, he said that Jeffrey Epstein was intelligent, and that's the reason why he was receiving these favorable type of deals initially down in Florida.
He's shocked because, as he says, this all happened 4 years before the investigation where his 14-year-old client came forward and kicked off that, which ended up with Epstein going to jail for 13 months. And we now know that this was the second investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. And Kubin says there should have been enough of a pattern, enough suspicion that police would have followed up on that first investigation.
Absolutely. A lot of lives probably could have been preserved. All of these people being, these females being violated. I want to give you another report in regards to the Epstein files, but this is quite shocking because now with these files that were released, it's in the media today that it brings a lot of heat toward the president of the United States as well.
Get to some breaking news that is still unfolding. The Trump Justice Department has just uploaded new FBI documents missing from the initial releases of the Epstein files. Right now, MS Now is pouring through these new files. We are taking our time to make sure we get it right, and we want to be careful on what we report on air. Here is what we can tell you right now. 3 of these documents are FBI 302 memos, notes that FBI agents used to summarize witness interviews. These notes contain unsubstantiated sexual assault allegations against Donald Trump.
Now, keep in mind, last week, for those of you that are coming in, I attended boots on the ground, the Clinton deposition. I actually saw both of them, right? But one of the representatives, Garcia, spoke about these 3 files that when the Epstein files came out, they were withheld as though someone was trying to hide something. And so Garcia was speaking heavily against the president of the United States. Would you believe that? And in so doing, he revealed that they were really going to work hard to get these files out. So now we see that these files have just been released, and now she's discussing what's in those files.
Specifically, they detail an unsubstantiated account of a woman who accused Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein of sexually assaulting her decades earlier when she was just a teenager. One of the new documents reads in part, quote, "Redacted was asked whether she felt comfortable detailing her contacts with Trump. Redacted again asked what the point would be of providing the information at this point in her life when there was a strong possibility nothing could be done about it." There are many redactions on these forms. Trump has long denied any wrongdoing connected to Jeffrey Epstein. To discuss, let's bring in MS Now senior legal reporter Lisa Rubin.
Lisa, again, I want to just reiterate what Alicia just said for our viewers is we are definitely combing through all of these because these are the 302s, these forms, these FBI interview intake forms were the thing that, as we have interviewed survivors of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's abuse over the course of the last couple of months, the things that they themselves most wanted to see in the files. And so the fact that today we've gotten at least 2 of these by my count, you may have more, I think it's important, and it is important that we get this right. Talk to us. There's a lot in here. Anybody that has had a chance to take a look at these, they talk a little bit about blackmail. They talk about an intimidation campaign. Obviously, those allegations against then citizens. So
again, these are new files released in regards to the president and also Epstein coming out from the Department of Justice today. What does all of this mean, especially going forward? There's a lot happening in the world. I know everyone wants to know.
And Donald Trump, walk us through how we should be looking through all this.
So, Simone, we have already seen an initial interview with this same alleged victim and accuser of both Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein in the files.
We knew that there were 3 others. In fact, MS Now joined NPR and an independent journalist, Roger Sullenberger, in reporting on how we figured out that those documents were in fact missing from prior production. So the first thing I want to say is that we now know that these in fact existed, that they were in the Department of Justice's possession, and that their claims that these documents were.
So, James, just to give you an update, I've been attending that trial here in New York with the Alexander brothers. Thank you for the update. I've actually spoken with the family members as well. That's something that I do all the time. I attend these federal cases. I attended Trump's, Diddy's, Luigi Mangione, Nicolas Maduro. So stick around and you'll see that I give you the inside information of what it's like to be in court and hear some of the facts in regards to these explosive cases.
Duplicates is just not credible, because in reading them, they don't sound like any document that any lawyer considers a duplicate. A duplicate is usually an email exchange or a text exchange where you produce one portion of it and then maybe you later see a longer portion of it. That is not what this is. What these are 3 additional Form 302s reflecting 3 additional interviews of this same woman, culminating in an October 2019 interview where, as Alicia just said, she tells the FBI that she is aware that because of when she alleges her abuse occurred, and specifically because it was in the 1980s, and we're now talking to her in 2019, she tells the agents that she's aware the statutes of limitation of any viable federal violation may have run. She asks the agents, what's the point? And I think the agent's response here is just as interesting as some of her allegations, as salacious as they are, and as unverifiable and unverified as they are, because the agent says all victims of crime should have the opportunity to tell their story, and they wanted to give her that opportunity if she wanted to.
I guess the big question is, are they going to bring this lady before Congress and let her tell her story? And also they can ask those hard questions to try to make some sense of all this. But this is something that's pressing in the media today. I want to make sure I bring it to your attention.
And she just didn't take it. To me, this is significant because we knew that this woman had allegations about Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump, who she says she met when she was a teenager, and that both of them sexually abused her.
Yes, Lisa, I knew exactly what you meant. It's all good. And also, James, Mama Flips is actually in court today. They're waiting for the final verdict on the Alexander brothers. We shall be reporting that as soon as it comes out.
What we didn't know is how it ended. And now we're seeing that the way that it likely ended is that the woman refused to cooperate with federal law enforcement authorities. She said that she understood that Trump was the president. She had contact with him when she was a minor, and when she was asked if she was comfortable detailing it, she just again reiterated, what would be the point of providing this information at this point in my life when there was a strong possibility nothing could be done about it? That's at that point in the interview, the agents, and I'm reading from this 302, or rather I'm trying to characterize it, basically said, go home. Take an opportunity to think about it. We're here if you want us to be. And it doesn't appear that the woman ever availed herself of that opportunity. Instead, 2 weeks later, as we know from documents that are already in the files, one of her lawyers contacted the FBI and said, basically, from now forward, your communications with this alleged victim, they go through us.
Okay, guys. Pretty Ting says, why was Maxwell moved to a lower security prison from a maximum security? Good question. James says, that's exactly what I was thinking. Are they going to bring her before Congress? Great question.
You know, Lisa, just listening to you describe and share that aspect of it, you can feel the frustration of the victim there. You can feel the anxiety, and it really...
So, guys, I just want to let you know, I attend these court cases. I saw Cassie come out talking about Diddy, and also Jane Doe, Mia, different individuals talking about Diddy. I sat in Alexander's case, and I see the different girls coming in, telling their story. In all of these different cases, this channel is very victim friendly. I want you to know that. And we don't just disregard people when they tell their story and their experience. So I just want to make that very clear. We do not try to silence people. And so we're keenly interested in following these cases to see how the cookie crumbles. And we're here to support people as they go through their different experiences. We're going to move on now, but we're going to keep this in mind, and we're going to continue to bring you the hot topics. Some of these topics are pretty tough. In fact, a lot of people don't want to hear about the president of the United States, and I totally get that, but it's in the news. I want to bring it to your attention. We're going to move on to this other big pressing story. It's with Israel. Israel is dropping bombs on Iran along with the help of the United States, which we wonder, what is the real reason behind all of this? But let's get to the story.
Campaign in the Middle East, U.S. forces escalating their strikes on Iranian air defenses and missile sites as commanders say Operation Epic Fury is hitting the terror regime's capabilities hard. Good morning. I'm Dana Perino. Bill's off today. Hi, Martha. Thank you.
Hi there, Dana. Great to be with you. Good morning, everybody. I'm Martha McCallum, and this, of course, is America's Newsroom, and there's so much coming in. We have new video that shows the United States military striking and setting fire to an Iranian drone carrier ship, roughly the size of a World War II aircraft carrier. And meanwhile, the Israeli military ramping up their pressure as well. They're pounding Beirut at this hour, ramping up operations against Hezbollah in its strongholds across Lebanon. And the IDF says that it's moving to its next phase amid this.
You know, it's so easy for us to sit back and say, oh, this is just another war, right? And sometimes we don't look into it. A lot of people are saying this is Israel's war and America is fighting Israel's war. Okay, so we hear all of these things happen, but it takes on a new meaning when we have family members that are being sent over to these places in harmony with this campaign or war, whichever way they want to frame it. And in my case, I say I have a family member already sent over. So it's very important to try to figure out what is going on, because definitely this is really starting to hit home, especially here in New York City as well. We have such a high demand for security because they're saying that we have all of these sleeper cells here because of Joe Biden allowing so many people into the country. At least that's what we're being told. And that extends throughout the entire United States because we become a big target. In fact, when Donald Trump was asked about it, you know, how dangerous this could be for Americans on our soil, he said, I told you we are going to lose lives. So what does all of this mean? This is what we need to know.
Ongoing conflict with Iran, shifting the focus to eliminating Iran's missile program once and for all as they begin the 15th wave of strikes in Tehran.
And CENTCOM says the U.S. and America's closest ally in the Middle East are weak.
Yes, James, I'm with you. I think we're going to see boots on the ground over in Iran.
Weakening Iran's power.
Our combined joint forces have relentlessly destroyed Iran's air defenses over the past few days, and they've continued hunting for more systems to kill. Our air defenders are operating at the very top of their game. We are fighting.
Oh my, guys, breaking news. Pretty Tings, boots on the ground, says we have a bomb threat this morning in downtown Dallas, Texas. I'm going to be in Dallas pretty soon covering the Carmelo Anthony case. So I'll be in Texas, flying into Dallas. We'll see what happens.
To win. Through combined U.S. and Israeli combat power, we will continue decimating Iran's ability to project power outside its borders.
Fox team coverage, Jackie Heinrich standing by at the White House, and House Intelligence Committee Chairman Rick Crawford is here. But first, let's go to Trey Yingst live in Tel Aviv. Hi.
Okay, before we go to that, Moshe says Trump is lying. Israel has him by his testicles with Epstein files, MAGA. Okay. Idiots. Okay. Thank you very much. Oh, we have Alan Beauty in the building. She says, hello, everyone. Excited to catch a live in between work tasks. So amazing to have you here. I often look out for you in the chat. Thank you.
Trey.
Sandra, Dana, good morning. Just last night, the Israelis launched.
And guys, we have over 200 people, YouTube alone. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, help us to build the chat. I'm on the road. I'm trying to get approved for the White House press. They have a segment for people such as myself. So please help me get the numbers up so I can report to you from a higher level at the White House. Thank you.
A massive strike against the.
I have the freedom and the capacity. I'm able to do these things. I just need access, and I need you guys to really chime in with the support, the likes, the numbers. Numbers is what helps these type of situations develop.
The Iranian capital of Tehran, those strikes have continued even as recently as last hour. And we have some new video here showing the Israelis targeting the compound underground.
Thank you, Wendy. Nice to see you here. It's nice to see you back watching from work. It's so amazing to have you. Thank you, Lisa, so much. I saw the super chat you gave this morning, bright and early. I said, Lisa's thinking about me, thinking about watching the world. It makes all this traveling worth it to know that people really appreciate what I'm doing.
Ground that Iran's former supreme leader had planned to hide in if any sort of attack were to take place against his country. The Israeli Air Force used over 50 fighter jets and 100 munitions to strike this underground bunker. And a senior Israeli official telling Fox News that when the supreme leader was killed, he was actually above ground. He never made it to the bunker that they destroyed overnight. And this official says the result was exactly what planned.
I don't know if you guys are starting to see what people are saying online about Israel having some type of Epstein files type of situation over individuals, and that's why we're going to their aid to fight wars. We see all of these type of explanations online, and we wonder what's the reasoning behind it. Is there some truth to that? Is Epstein is this a distraction? We see all of this happening. Also, a lot of people that are Bible thumpers, as they would say, they understand the Bible. They're quoting scripture saying that this is all Bible prophecy. Last night, I broke it down that the Iranians used to be the Persians. And if you know history in accordance to the Bible, it was the Persians that freed the Jews or the Israelites and help them to be able to rebuild their temple, the second temple. So all of these things people are trying to make sense of and tie them all together.
Planners had hoped for. Khamenei stayed above ground, and the opening strike of Operation Epic Fury found him right there. Now, today, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is holding security consultations with his cabinet to determine the next steps in phase 2 of this operation. And again, we expect these strikes to expand and continue in the days ahead. The Iranians are still launching their attacks against Israel. Overnight, ballistic missiles soared through the skies of this country. You can see in some Fox News video here one of those missiles overshooting its target and slamming in.
Jamie, I fully understand. You say the Bible has nothing to do with this. Thank you for your comment.
Into the Mediterranean Sea. This happened a number of times, and sirens sounding once again this morning across Tel Aviv. Now, the Israelis say they are dismantling Iran's ballistic missile launchers, hitting another 6 of those launchers overnight. And Israel's chief of...
You know, we're so used to seeing all of this develop from afar, but we're uncertain as to what it could mean on American soil, waking up to hearing loud noises, if you get my drift. Definitely will have you faint out of fear. But all of these things we're trying to figure out. In fact, in this show today for our news at noon, we're going to look at gas prices that are going up, along with food and other things as well, to try to get a broad picture so that we can prepare ourselves for the future and not just shrugging things off, because that's how you run into a snag, right?
Staff had this to say earlier today about the ongoing operation.
I am in continuous contact with my American counterparts, including the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the United States, General Dan Kane, and the Commander of CENTCOM, Admiral Brad Cooper. We are fighting based on shared interests and values. In this war, shoulder to shoulder, they are true friends. Through coordinated action, we are stripping the regime of its military.
So I just wanted to give you enough to understand that this is major. Israel is dropping serious bombs. The United States is well invested into this whole operation as well. But as intelligent people, we ask those critical questions, and that might lead you to a place where you're like, well, why are we actually doing this? And how does it actually benefit the American people, especially when you take out the man, right, the Ayatollah, who they see as being next to God, right? This is beyond politics. This is their religion and how they see their God. This could be a major problem because these people will fight you to the death, and this could go on forever, right? So let's check it out. Let's be observant, and I will continue to bring this to you with our news at noon and other segments. I want to show you how Kristi Noem was fired by Donald Trump. They said she was about to take the stage. And Donald Trump called her while she was in the limousine and says, hey, remember we saw the show Apprentice? I was a big fan of The Apprentice, right? Every episode I saw it, right? And he called her to say, you're fired, right? So imagine she had to take the stage knowing that all of this bad press would be involved. But let's take a look at the reason why she may have been fired by the President of the United States.
How do you square that concern for waste?
And guys, let's get the likes up, share, subscribe. Let's get to the White House. Yes, indeed.
Which I share. With the fact that...
And by the way, I will be in D.C. next weekend. I'll be visiting the White House, but it won't be the way I want to in the press room.
You have spent $220 million running television advertisements that feature you prominently.
Sir, the president tasked me with getting the message out to the country. And
by the way, I'll be live streaming all of my business dealings in Washington, D.C. next week. That's something to look forward to
other countries where we were seeing the invasion come from, with putting commercials out that told them that if they were in this country illegally, that they needed to leave, or we would detain them and remove them, and they'd not get the chance to come back to America the right way. That has been extremely effective.
Ask you to run these advertisements, is that right?
We had that conversation, yes, before.
Now, one thing about Donald Trump, we know he's not a big fan of people being killed and also using money in a frivolous or crazy manner. So to hear how she was using the funds to pretty much promote her own brand, her own name, allegedly, you can understand why the president took such action.
I was put in this position and sworn in and confirmed, and since then as well.
Okay. Did you bid out those service contracts?
Yes, they did. They went out to a competitive bid, and career officials at the department chose who would do those advertising commercials.
And the people that you ended up picking were people who had formerly done your political work back in South Dakota. Is that right?
No, that's not correct, sir.
I think it is.
No, it's not, sir. The individuals who, I believe the careers who they chose were two different media firms. There's been conversation about their subcontractors, but we have no legal authority to look into subcontractors on work like that.
Okay. And you're saying that you're testifying that President Trump approved this ahead of time. Is that my understanding?
We had conversations about making sure that we were telling people.
No, ma'am. I'm asking you, sorry to interrupt.
He's not letting her dance around this very pointed question. You see how she's trying to finagle?
But the president approved ahead of time you spending $220 million running TV ads across the country in which you are featured prominently.
Yes, sir. We went through the legal processes, did it
Did the
correctly,
president
worked
know
with
you were going to do
OMB.
this?
Yes.
He did?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
And one thing, Senator, I think would be helpful to know is how effective that communications has been. That
Well, they were
overwhelmingly
effective in your name recognition. I mean, I personally just, I mean, to me, it puts the president in a terribly awkward spot. And I'm not saying you're not telling the truth. It's just hard.
That's right, Alan Beauty. That definitely put her in hot water with the president.
Hard for me to believe, knowing the president, as I do, that you said, Mr. President, here's some ads I've cut, and I'm going to spend $220 million running them, that he would have agreed to that. I don't think Russ Vogt at OMB would have agreed to that. It's something we have to defend. I'm only...
You know, it's amazing. The president acted on this so quickly. It goes to show it. I don't know how he does it, but the guy, he sees and hears just about everything, and he acts on it really quickly, quick execution. Shadow says, that's so. Call president needs to be fired also. Okay. I hope we can do that after the midterm election. Okay, thank you very much.
Appropriations Committee. I mean, my
So we get an idea what happened there. I just wanted to give you the background on why she may have been fired from her role and moved to a different position. Although many people are going to debate it, I'm just giving you one angle. You could probably find more. Would you believe a reporter was picked up by ICE? Let's check it out, folks.
Tonight, a Nashville journalist detained by immigration authorities.
In court documents, her attorney claims she was arrested without a warrant. News 2's Kelly Milan spoke with that attorney today and shares more.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Regresamos con más información.
A Nashville television reporter now in immigration detention. Stephanie Rodriguez, who works for Nashville Noticias and Univision 42, was taken into custody by immigration agents March 4th. According to a statement from the outlet, Rodriguez was with her husband outside a gym on Murfreesboro Pike when several cars surrounded their marked news vehicle. The station says several men then exited those cars and demanded Rodriguez be taken into custody. She was later transported to a detention center.
Up until now, she hasn't had a case with ICE charging her with anything, any part of DHS charging with anything. She never had a case with the immigration courts.
Her attorneys have now filed an emergency federal petition asking a judge to order her release. The lawsuit claims Rodriguez entered the United States legally, applied for asylum, and has been seeking a green card through her U.S. citizen husband. Her lawyer says she had been following ICE instructions and was expected to report to the ICE office later this month. But according to her attorneys, when they checked with ICE about her case, they were told the charging documents were still being finalized.
Now, ICE has claimed that her failing to show up last Wednesday was a sign that she is a flight risk. But in this case, there was an ICE officer.
These are tough times when you see the reporters and the anchors actually having to be detained with ICE as well. Goes to show that you have to have your paperwork in order. You have to enter the United States the proper way, or they will come looking for you. Guys, hit the like button. You could also hit the likes and the 100s. It's all there within the chat if you would like to push the channel more. Thank you very much for that. I really do appreciate that. There's a story here in New York City in the Bronx involving the daycare. Imagine you take your children to the daycare. It's hard enough as it is trying to work and take care of life. And then they're at the daycare, the place that you trust your valued possessions, and then they get access to narcotics and also could potentially lose their lives. Let's look at this story that ended very badly for one man and also for the family whose child was affected.
And sentencing day for the daycare operators responsible for the fatally exposing a toddler to fentanyl in 2023. It was a gut-wrenching day in court as the parents of the boy addressed the couple responsible for the tragedy. Eyewitness News reporter Darla Miles is live in the Melrose section of the Bronx with more on this story. Darla.
Well, David, the parents of Nick.
All right, there's my good friend Darla. Darla supports the channel. She says she watches Watching the World. Darla is often with me in the court. We started off with Donald Trump's case together. So she is fabulous. I want you to take notice to her voice. It is impeccable. And she told me how her father was very instrumental in helping her as a child and throughout life to develop such a high level of speaking. It's so amazing, and it's awfully wonderful to know her. Butch says America's citizens first. What do you think? Do you think the action in Iran shows that we are America first? Put that in the comments. Tell us what you think as we hear about this terrible story.
Nicholas Dominici had a chance to address the two people convicted in their son's murder today, and those two people had a chance to apologize to the family today. But when you talk about how
Guys, Darla Miles, she has her own platform, I believe. I see her often. I think it's apart from her network. So definitely go follow her, show her some love. Tell her you heard about her from Watching the World. She is so amazing.
Gut-wrenching and difficult this day was today. One thing can sum all of this up. The mother told the court, Zola Dominici says she cannot wait until the day that she dies, until she can see her son again. And because he's not coming back, these two people should never get out of jail.
Those 25 years to life plus those 45 years on federal court is enough time for who is expecting to come out. They never gonna come out.
The parents of Nicholas Dominici leaving the Bronx criminal courthouse Wednesday afternoon, clinging to a large portrait of their son.
We fight. We pray every day to wake up and have the power to be standing on that courthouse. It's not easy.
This uneasy final chapter in their 2.5-year nightmare in the fentanyl death of their 22-month-old son, ending with the sentencing hearing for former daycare owner Gray Mendez and her husband Felix Herrera Garcia, convicted of second-degree murder in the toddler's death.
No debe salir nunca de la cárcel.
You should never get out of jail, Zoila Dominici telling the court. Menendez and Garcia
Has to be terrible to lose their child such a negligent way, especially with the F drug is taking over the world, and just a little bit can take an adult's life. So only imagine what it could do to a child.
Sitting with their hands cuffed behind their backs as the grieving parents describe the day Nicholas died in September 2023. She says, I see my heart bleeding from his mouth. The doctors did everything they could to bring him back to life, but it was too late. He had been dead for a while.
On 2023, we celebrate my birthday. 2 days later, this happened.
The couple sentenced 25 years to life in Dominici's death to run concurrently with a 45-year sentence on federal drug charges in this case.
It doesn't solve the problem, but imagine that this does help them in some way to get some justice for what happened to their dear child. Brian says 75% of Americans don't want this war. Imagine how the internet fools you into thinking it's what you want. Like in chat, okay? That's fake news provided by bot accounts. Okay, thank you for giving us that update. So we definitely want to keep them in mind for what happened to their small child. It's very heartbreaking. But now we're going to look at a different aspect of life, and we're going to look at the finance, especially when it comes to fuel. How much are you paying now at the gas pump? Have you noticed in your personal life that gas prices have gone up? Or what about when it comes to your groceries? Are you feeling the pinch, or do you feel like gas and food has come down? Let's look at gas in particular, especially in regards to this war involving the Middle East, where the whole gas fuel is the prime topic. Let's get to it.
In News Nation national correspondent Mills Hayes, who's live from a gas station in Chicago. Mills, Americans are seeing higher prices right now, and that, of course, is part of Iran's energy warfare.
It appears that the daycare owners were sellers, and that's just based on loosely what I recall hearing in the past.
Strategy. But I think top of mind for a lot of people is how long might this last? What's the word you're hearing on that?
Right. Good morning to you, Marky. President Trump says that gas prices will drop rapidly once the war is over, and that the military operation is far more important than higher gas prices. Still, Politico is reporting that White House officials are putting pressure on key officials to find ways to lower prices at the pump. And that relief couldn't come sooner for millions of Americans that hit the road each day. And since the strikes in Iran began, gas prices have risen by about 27 cents on average nationwide for unleaded gas, and about 40 cents for diesel at $4.17 on average. That's up from $3.76 a week ago, and it's already impacting farmers and long-haul truck drivers.
A lot of people are asking this very important question. Nia says, I thought you already got oil from Venezuela. So it's quite confusing, because we took in all the oil from Venezuela. As I told you, I attended Nicolas Maduro's hearing. I'll be in court with him soon. But we were told that gas would be below $2, right, a gallon, because of the taking of Nicolas Maduro and also taking pretty much control of Venezuela. But the next week we're in Iran and prices are going up. Everybody's trying to make sense and asking those tough questions. Thank you.
Who deliver food and consumer goods to stores, and it could even have a domino effect on the economy as businesses spend more to transport goods. About 20% of the global supply of oil passes through the Strait of Hormuz, which has been closed since the conflict began. So crude oil prices are up by about 20%, and as that rises, so does the amount that Americans pay at the gas pump.
Y'all know food is high, and then we have to come out here and 30 cents up a week.
Everybody keeps saying, just like Brian says, this is Iraq 2003 again, truly doomed. I'll use a different word. What do you guys think? Did we win the war in Iraq? Let's talk about it. Can we win a war with Iran?
Like, I have 4 kids. Like, the economy is high. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that went up a little bit, but it's not impacted mine because I seen the conflict coming, so I filled up beforehand.
Guys, Pretty Things, again, is giving us boots on the ground assessment. She says, Wednesday morning, gas here in Dallas was $2.89. That's in Texas, right? Now it's $3.19 a gallon. Wow.
But this is a company vehicle, so I'm sure it's impacted there.
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says that the president's energy team has a game plan to keep oil prices stable. They'll tap into newfound oil markets in Venezuela and provide political risk insurance for oil carriers. And if it's necessary, the U.S. Navy will escort oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. And
Okay, we have some answers coming in. Did we win the Iraq war? How did we fare with the Taliban? Tell us all about it. And are we capable of really doing a successful action in Iran?
Energy experts say that if the Strait of Hormuz reopens, then gas prices will drop quickly. But if it does remain closed, then
James says gas is $3.67 where he's located. Something to think about.
gas prices could soar even higher, up to $4 a gallon, Marky.
Yeah, certainly gas, the most relatable hit for Americans.
So what are you guys doing to prepare for the pinch? Because obviously we don't know. We're so uncertain of how long this is going to go on. All it takes is for one attack here in the United States. We already had one individual down in Austin, Texas. It looks like it could have been related to this. We don't know, I guess, with the certainty. But all it takes is something like that, and prices are even going to get worse, or could be. Or maybe the president and this administration have a plan that will make this all work out. What do you guys think in regards to that? Is there some hope amidst all of this chaos? Let's talk about it. Let's move on. We're running out of time here for the hour, but we're going to finish off with two ways of looking at Nancy Guthrie's case. We're going to see if we can glean some new information to help us understand this big case that's happening. I just came back from Tucson, Arizona last week. As you guys saw, I was covering that case, boots on the ground, waiting on the next case that I'll travel out for, but I also cover the federal cases in New York and abroad to help you understand what's happening, because in many cases, they do not allow the cameras inside the court, no recording. So that's why we try to fill in the gaps for you. So let's take a look now at Nancy Guthrie, some new information coming out.
And we continue to track the latest on the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. And today marks day 33 in the search for the 84-year-old. A new development today as we learn investigators were back at the house as they search for more clues into what happened to Nancy Guthrie. All this, as Sheriff Chris Nano says, investigators are going through thousands of hours of video footage from the area. He says they are reviewing traffic camera video near Guthrie's home and ring camera video of a suspect. You've seen it many times.
Guys, take a moment, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. And Jeff makes a good point. Remember when gas was $5 a gallon? I believe I was following it closely when Joe Biden left office. The national average was $4 and some change. So we're still below that, but it's starting to creep back up, and everybody wants to know where could it possibly end.
From her home the night she was taken. 33 days after Nancy Guthrie has disappeared, many questions still remain. And today, News 4 Tucson's Monica Garcia sat down one-on-one once again with Sheriff Kristi Noem, pressing him on several questions sent to us by our viewers surrounding this investigation. Monica.
Yeah, Sean, all of us know at News 4 Tucson, we've been getting hundreds of messages on our social media pages, emails saying, what about this? Or ask the sheriff about this. And so today we took the most common questions and we did ask the sheriff. And one of them I want to point out is the most recent one. And it's a 911 call that was made the night Nancy Guthrie disappeared. In the call, the dispatcher talks about a woman screaming out the window, hollering for help, and this was within miles of Nancy Guthrie's house. Let's first take a listen to that 911 call.
It's going to be at Oracle and River. The caller is advising they saw a female out of a vehicle window screaming. Then it went northbound on Oracle. The vehicle was a dark gray.
So I just want to stop here. This is the 911 call that came in of a potential kidnapping not that far, within miles of Nancy Guthrie's home. Now, keep in mind, when we look at the timeline for Nancy Guthrie, her pacemaker disconnected at 2:28 p.m. This call of another individual is at 3:01. So what are the chances that you have two individuals going missing or potentially trying to be kidnapped, right? All within about 35 minutes of each other. Something to really ponder over and try to figure out.
Blue Chevy Malibu, no plate.
All right, so back out here, a lot of people have been asking about this specific call, and for good reason, right? So as you just heard,
Butch says, thanks for your channel. Thank you very much. Nice to hear that. I'll keep pressing forward with the good words of encouragement. James says, Mel, update on Nancy. There was an internet outage that night. Okay, thank you.
it's been circulating all over line, described a woman screaming, hanging outside of a moving car. We spoke to the sheriff about that. We're going to get to that in just a second. And during our conversation, we also asked about other evidence in the case, including the more than a dozen gloves found during the search. The sheriff says the glove found closest to the scene, about 2.5 miles away, was tested and it was eliminated. Other gloves found farther away, he said some 6 to 7 miles away, those are still part of the investigation. They're just not priority. They're still getting tested. So let's get back to that 911 call we asked him today about to see if they had investigated it. Take a listen.
So there was a 911 call of a woman overheard screaming, hanging outside of a car the night Nancy was taken. What's the update with that?
We're aware of it. We found those individuals, interviewed them. It was a domestic violence situation that had nothing to do with this case at all.
Okay, so we could rule that one out according to the sheriff. And I believe the FBI also spoke on it, that that was a separate event, but something to consider.
All right, folks, so you just heard the...
All right, Jay Mastermind, welcome back. Nice to have you here. Jay says, the scripture says you should never harm one of my peers. I think you're talking about Mark chapter 10, where it talks about the young kids. If you harm one, it's better to tie a noose around your neck. I think that's what you're referring to. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that. Butch says, I remember waiting in lines when they said there was an oil shortage. That was 50 years ago. All right, we're back in the saddle, perhaps.
Sheriff addressing that 911 call that's been circulating online. He told me they, in fact, investigated it. They investigated it the night it actually happened because they had heard about it. So just one of those things on the list of questions you guys have been submitting to us. In the meantime, he says their big focus is on forensic evidence. And so that's where they stand tonight on the case of Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. Live from PCSD, Monica Garcia. Sean, back to you.
All right, our viewers with a lot of questions, but also still a lot of support for the Guthrie family. Thank you, Monica.
So what happened to Nancy Guthrie? Everybody wants to know. A little bit later, the last few minutes, we're going to talk about a few pointers to try to figure it out. But let's just cover one more angle before we get to that.
We're back out in Nancy's neighborhood yesterday, going door to door,
3 different homeowners we spoke to told us the investigators this time were specifically asking them if they noticed any issues or disruptions with their internet service the night that Nancy went missing. They say the investigators told them that several people in the area have mentioned glitches with their internet that night. Now, neither the Sheriff's Department nor the FBI have commented on this, but I did ask the sheriff earlier this week in our interview if he believed the suspect may have had a Wi-Fi jammer on him, maybe in his pocket. All he would say is that his investigators, along with the FBI, are looking at every angle of that surveillance video. And we should also note that the homeowners we spoke to said that they were either asleep or not home, so they couldn't say if they had any issues with their internet. Meanwhile, we were back outside Nancy's home yesterday, and we continue to see people showing up, dropping flowers, paying their respects. We spoke to people who live here in Tucson and people who said they're just visiting Tucson, who wanted to come by, pray, and send a message to Savannah and her family. They still...
You know, for a long time, I thought the feds perhaps had some sort of angle they were trying to figure out, but it's starting to look like this is potentially a cold case, or they ran into a brick wall. Why do you think that's the case? We're in over a month, 34 days or so, no vehicle described. We don't have a clue of what race the person actually was, even though there's been some talk of DNA inside the home. Are you guys shocked that at the federal level that we're running into these type of roadblocks?
Have hope and that the family is not alone. Laura.
The work continues there. Liz, thank you. And a reminder, if you have any information that could be helpful, it is not too late. We urge.
So there's a number if you want to reach out to the FBI, if you happen to know something. Let's get Nancy Guthrie home. If you didn't get a chance to check it out, I covered it extensively last week. We went through the different press conferences of the sheriff. And you know what's shocking? I actually went out to Nancy Guthrie's home out in Tucson, Arizona. A beautiful place, I must say. I was there for over a week. Got a chance to know some of the key YouTubers out there like JLR, 857 Tucson, Alex, and so forth, Mark the Shark. Nice guys. Also had a chance to run into Brian Enton and so forth. But my question is, if the person, because we hear all of these different reports, if the person came in through the back door, right? Remember early on they said the back door was wide open. Not the officials, but some of the reporters that were reporting that were close by. Why would the person have spent so much time at the front door? So I would like to hear from you guys. Why would the person have spent so much time at the front door if they could just simply have went through the back and taken her out of the back? Even if they had planned to leave through the front door, right? All they would have to have done is cover that camera, pull it down without being shown. So why would the person allow themselves to be filmed in that way if they went through the back? I would love to hear from you guys in regards to this. And that's the other thing. The sheriff has not given any sure indication as to the access point of the person that actually took her. But let's see if we can get a few answers before we end the show. If not, we'll pick this up at another time. I'm going to breeze through a few of the comments in the interim. Pretty Ting says, too many people with speculations and disqualified FBI agents. Okay, thank you very much. Jay Mastermind says, that's the problem. You all love this system more than protecting the kids being messed with by it. Okay, so Jay Mastermind seems to be pushing more of the spiritual narrative from what I can understand. James says the local law enforcement botched it. IMO. Okay. Thank you very much. Stella is reminding everybody to please hit the like button, share, and subscribe, and turn on your notifications. Jeff said struggle. So are you saying that there was a struggle at the front door? Okay, and welcome into you, Carol. So I don't see any answers in regards to why the person would have spent all this time at the front door if they went through the back. Also, on day 2, in the press conference number 2, the sheriff said that she was taken basically from her bed. He insinuated she was taken from the bed. Also, I believe in the last time that Savannah Guthrie spoke, She said that her mother was taken from her bed. So if that's the case, how did the person enter the house? Okay. Let's see. James says, went to take the camera, and I believe the perps were knocking to be let in by someone inside. Okay. All right. That's a new spin. Jay Mastermind says, I don't like the system and what happens to kids. Okay. We understand that. We get that. You've been quite expressive in regards to that point. All right. So it looks like we won't know. We won't have an answer. We'll have a discussion later when this topic seems like we get more answers in regards to the questions that are being presented. So with that being said, we're going to close out today. Okay, so Carol responded. She says, backsliding door. So Carol, if the person went through the backsliding door, why would they have did all of the why would they jeopardize themselves and give you a full, as best description of them by coming into the peripheral of the camera at the front door? But thank you, Carol, for responding to the question. It's very important. All right. Pretty Ting says, no one is participating in the system. We are all just living in. Okay. Pretty Tings is pushing back and being heard. Thank you so much. All right. So that does it for today, guys. Thank you for being here for News at Noon. We went over a lot of hot topics, but I think what's going to be most intriguing is what's happening with the President of the United States in connection with the Epstein files. Breaking news today that there's an individual that perhaps has some serious allegations, and we look forward to finding out what does all of this mean, and also what's happening around the world with Iran. And on a personal note, many of us are being affected with gas prices, food, and so forth. We want to know about our personal safety, all of that and more. Carol says the others waiting. Okay, so you think it's more people involved? Okay, thank you very much. All right, guys, have a good day. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you back on Sunday night at 7 p.m. We have the show with criminal defense attorney Calvin Johnson called the Weekly Legal Review. If you have any questions, feel free to send them to me via email. I'll be glad to add those questions into the mix. I'm going to breeze through these final comments real quick. All right. James says, excellent show. Thank you, James. Carol says, didn't think it would be hard to take it down. Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that. Jen says, take care to everybody. And finally, we have Pretty Ting says, thank you, Mel. I love your show. I love having you here, Pretty Tings. Continued support is always beautiful. Thank you very much, and have a good one, everybody. Until we meet again, I want everybody to work on being safe and really, really take steps to enjoy your life, because we really only get one. Thank you very much, and have a good day.
Different voices, but the same song. Loving a world where we all belong. Kindness leading the way, breaking the chains. In the symphony of love, the flame remains. Embracing diversity, brighter days in sight.